Welcome to the patch.
Look, I remembered.
You flipped it this week with Gus,
Ashley,
Ryan,
and video game news.
Ah, yeah, I see what you did there.
And other news. Before we get to video games, there is another bit of gaming-related news I want to talk about. Totally not video games, but
what you got, bro?
Wait.
I don't know.
Some video game-related news. Totally not video games. Go on.
not video games. Did you watch any of that Baltimore-Chicago baseball game where nobody's in the stadium?
No.
They played a Major League Baseball game. It's probably wrapping up. It probably wrapped up a little while ago with literally nobody in the stadium.
Baltimore's
they're
a little troubled right now.
They're a little bit of trouble. So they played the game, and it was strange. They were streaming it. I was watching it online, and it was strange to watch with.
They just have cameras.
Nobody.
So it's one of those things like the show must go on, but nobody's going to go
More
to
like
the show.
the sponsors must be satisfied, I think is probably what it is.
Well, but people still watch the show
on
just
TV.
not go to the show.
It was really bizarre.
I wonder if there was one lone hot dog vendor still hawking the crowd. Was there? I mean, was it completely nobody?
He's just selling to the guys that cut the grass.
There were a couple of employees. There was one employee I saw who apparently his whole job was to go around and pick up the foul balls out of the stands.
Oh, we got a shot of it. Wow.
He looks bored.
And you could hear the people in the dugout cheering whenever like someone got on base. It was like wow, like
clack crack.
Yeah,
Hey,
very
look,
faintly.
Whenever the control room laughs at one of our jokes, that always makes me feel really happy. So that was probably enough for the players, right?
Well, you got to think with you could probably finally hear them, right? Because normally there's so much ambient noise of all the people around. Now all of a sudden the people in the dugout are probably really loud.
I like the idea that someone in the dugout normally just like shouts obscenities and nobody notices because they can't hear it, and so they're like, fuck off, and so they're like, who said that?
Frank, we come to our attention that we really need to have a conversation about your language.
HR has sent a memo.
Like, you really need to stop talking about the players' wives.
I kind of want to see a clip from that now just to hear it.
Yeah, that's the big reason I watched it. It was, and oddly enough, it was the Major League Baseball's free game of the day. You could watch without having to pay for a subscription online. So that's why I was watching it.
Maybe they were trying to like make up viewers or something.
Or was it like, look, life is totally normal in Baltimore. Games continue. The sports players on the field. Crack.
Yeah, it was something else. All right, enough of that. I just had to mention
it was a game.
That was not
going
remotely
right
video
now.
game related.
No, but it is a game, and there are baseball games.
You know what? Video game fans always show up.
They do.
They're never not in the stands.
Online only.
Well, I mean, like the
or
digital crowds,
ESPN.
the fake ones that are.
So I was reading about that, so I guess Heroes of the Storm had a broadcast on ESPN2 a few days
I
ago.
loved the name, by the way, Heroes of the Dorm.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
college student related, so they called it Heroes of the Dorm. But I guess some people got really upset that ESPN2 was broadcasting video game esports.
It's weird because it's not the first time that ESPN has ever broadcast esports. They had to deal with MLG for a while.
Right. I think it's because right now maybe the basketball playoffs are starting, so people are expecting that. But I think the basketball playoffs were on TNT. They were on another network.
Oh.
So people were upset with ESPN.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick had forwarded me a little note where they were talking about the ratings. Apparently, it didn't blow anybody's hair back.
The ratings were 0.1.
On a Nielsen
what does that
rating.
mean?
That means 0.1% of all people watching TV at that time were watching that show.
Considering how much TV there is, that still doesn't put
it
it
was
in context
ESPN2,
too much
right?
for me.
Yeah, it was beaten by reruns of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah, but I mean, SpongeBob.
SVU. On that same article, there were a few other shows
So
listed.
you're saying did it not do great, or did it do terribly?
Well, ESPN said, I think officially they said they were pleased with it, and I think for them it's maybe a long-term play in order to try to get a new audience, so people who don't traditionally watch ESPN. So it might be the thing where they're okay with it starting small and then growing bigger.
Although apparently at the risk of alienating the audience they have, apparently people were super salty about it.
I don't know why they were so mad.
Like why would you show video games? Blah blah blah. Give us our hot dog eating contests.
I mean,
there's real sports.
Those are there's a lot of overlap, I think, between gaming communities, the real human gaming versus digital gaming. But I'd imagine the Venn diagram has a lot of pie that is people who have no interest whatsoever in video gaming, and that's their channel.
And there's a lot of video game people who have no interest in sports.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like that little slice in the middle.
People they feel like it's always a slippery slope. Like once video games get their toe onto ESPN, then it's just going to be all gaming all the time.
Nice. Look forward to it.
The ESPN Games channel?
I will say people who play video games also can be rather sarcastic when it comes to discussing sports. Like, I don't know how, like, whenever there's like a major sporting event, how many times I have to read tweets about people playing sports ball or making, annoyed jokes about sporting events. So it definitely cuts both ways. But why can't we just be happy for each other?
Yeah.
If I can be happy, other people can definitely be happy.
Listen, Patrick, I'm gonna try and send this to you if my internet works. Someone, Ryan Kilbane, posted on the patch hashtag that that ball game in Baltimore, they put the attendance on it, and it's just 0.
Aw. I assume that the gates were just closed,
I think
right? They
this
just weren't allowing anybody in.
I'm pretty sure
It's
this is a
still funny.
Photoshop.
I don't give a shit. It's really funny.
You think you bother have the guy up there with the clicker counting people at the turnstile?
It was tweeted by @KillBleezy. Yeah. Anyway, then other less depressing.
Here's an interesting thing. So there were 2 really big things that kind of happened over the weekend. Which would you say was the biggest? Because
I think
over the weekend.
biggest thing over the
Couple.
weekend was the cancellation of Silent Hills.
So Silent Hills, Ashley, same or the other big news?
The other big news for me.
So the other big news being the Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Steam. Well, no, Skyrim Workshop.
Skyrim? Is that really how you say it?
Skyrim.
Skyrim?
Say
Have you
again?
said it? Have you always said it like that?
How do you say it?
Skyrim?
Has he always said it like that? Am I being fucked with?
What do you say?
It's Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Does it sound the same to
There's
you?
an I in it.
Yeah.
Think of it like sky
Skyrim.
and then rim.
There, you said it right.
Skyrim.
You're making it sound like Skyrim.
Scrim.
Or like
Skyrim.
Skyrim.
Scrum.
It's Skyrim. What?
Okay, yeah, right.
Scrim.
All right.
Anyway, so the mod workshop was they went paid briefly. Okay, so
Well, added the option for paid.
they added the option for paid. Okay, so Silent Hill, I guess.
Well, here you guys outnumber me 2-1. Let's talk about this
Yeah,
this Skyrim,
Skyrim.
mod
Scrim?
bullshit. So for backstory, the option was enabled to allow people to monetize mods for Skyrim through Steam.
Right. As
Through
a
the
first
Steam
step to a wider potential mod for money kind
Right,
of program
across
for Steam.
workshop for multiple games.
Which is something that has existed. This isn't really that revolutionary because in some small ways, there's already been marketplaces integrated into Steam, like,
Sure, like
Team
Team
Fortress
Fortress.
2 as the most notable one.
What's up, all your hats? And they've paid out like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, I mean,
in that.
there are people that make a lot of money doing just that. But there was, I think this
I
may
say
have been
hundreds of millions. I don't think it was hundreds of
don't-
millions.
that seems
I think
like a
I think that
stretch.
was too high.
Hundreds
it might
of
have been, it might have
dollars.
been it might have been millions.
hundreds of millions of cents.
Well, regardless, the internet shit itself.
This is, I think, probably the fastest I've ever seen an arc of a story develop. Because it goes from, we're offering this program, we're defending this program, we've removed this program.
Yeah.
And that's over the space of less than a week.
Yeah, it was like 3 days.
There was a whole journey there.
Yeah, I think the Skyrim story was like Thursday night or like maybe Thursday is when they announced it. We covered it on or Friday. We covered it on Friday, and then Monday it was like nah.
Shut it down. Yep.
I personally, I didn't have a problem with it. I think the split was off. 75% of the money was going to Bethesda and Valve, and 25% would go to the content creator. I think that formula should have been tweaked a little bit. But I think if people want to monetize the stuff that they've worked on, and they're presented a legal avenue to do it, that's great news for them. There were, some gray areas that were brought up, and that I think you mentioned the other day, which is some mods using assets from other mods, from a free mod and then monetizing it. But at the end of the day, like I look at all this and I think you all are still using a game that you didn't make and putting your mods on top of that.
Well, I mean, yes, but then some of these modders are going so far as creating completely unique assets. So there's a lot of original art and content that could potentially be in those mods. While
or like voiceover or that kind of stuff.
I mean, in some cases, these mods are almost more akin to licensing an engine than they would be to actually, I don't know what an equivalency other than that would be. But I think that's probably the best way to associate it. So yeah, that's a pretty hefty take. And those modders, in most cases went into that not expecting to get anything for their work.
And we should reiterate, it was totally an optional program.
Yes, it was an opt-in. You didn't have to do it. But yeah, there were so many rights issues and tangles, and a lot of the mod community, it seems like, felt like that was sort of the beginning of the end of the mod. Because once you make that a monetizable position, the people that are doing it for the love start to kind of fade away.
Well, can't you do it for the love and the money? I mean, those two
There
things
was,
are
there
those
was
two
an
things
entire movie
are
about
not
that, I'm pretty sure.
exclusive. You can do it for both.
It's true, but it's one of those purity of human
You were
spirit
upset
kind of
about this,
things.
weren't you?
I wasn't particularly.
Okay.
I mean, to be honest, I didn't pay attention to the news over the weekend, so the whole thing happened before I even really had a chance to take it in. It's like, it blew up. Everybody was mad. Oh my God, Gabe Newell saying it should be fine. And usually it's like, all right, well, Steam, it's a new program. They'll try it for a while and they'll work it out. No, Monday.
Got some,
Shut it
got
down.
some whiplash, did you?
Yeah, so I didn't even have time to come to grips with it before it was gone.
The best part about all this controversy was the resurrection of all the old GIFs from when people hated Steam when it first launched. Like all of those old original GIFs were recycled and brought back.
I don't know where people even found all of those.
The Wayback
It's
Machine.
amazing. Probably.
Some of it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think I agree. It's not like mods have been a thing that people do for love with no expectation of financial gain. Some people take donations, and a lot of people actually held donations up as like the way that it should be for doing paid mods. It should be donations. Let's be honest here. Have you ever donated to a mod?
Nope.
I've never donated to a mod. Have you ever donated to a mod?
No, but I don't use mods. Wait, I use World of Warcraft mods. No, I never have.
It's one of those things where such a low percentage of people who enjoy them, and like we're all like, yeah, great, you should be able to make money from the work you do. Yeah, we didn't donate.
Well,
So,
and
it's
to
like,
be fair, though, I mean, some of that is because there's not a great marketplace to do that, like a safe, trustable marketplace. I mean, there's usually, if you have a donate option for those modders, it's through maybe a PayPal. Sometimes, people, I don't love PayPal myself. I try and stay away from it because there were so many horror stories about it earlier in its life. Now I think it's evened out a little bit, but every now and again you still hear shady things.
oh, I had some of those personally.
Really?
Yeah, someone PayPal once like locked my account and all the funds that I had in it because I'd used my boyfriend at the time's eBay account to sell something or to buy something. I think it was to sell something.
Transact.
And he had the same name as someone else who had a PayPal account with a negative balance. So they locked mine just like through
Cool.
that association. It was really fucked up.
So, I mean, and that's why I've kind of steered away from it. And so that really is a good way that Steam could have locked itself in the market, is provide a good marketplace for that kind of thing. Of course, if you're taking 75% of the profits, then I can't imagine that sits well with anybody.
Yeah, but I do like the idea of, like, there are some mods out there that have taken so much work, and it would be nice for those people to have an avenue to be able to make mods, and actually, like, maybe make mods full-time, as is. The guy that made the Falscar mod, he ended up being hired by Bungie, which is fantastic. That's actually, like, the ideal trajectory for a lot of modders, is to take that and use it as an example of being able to get stuff done and make something and use it to get into the games industry, because it's that sort of chicken and egg thing. Like, you have to have experience to get a job, but then you have to have a job to get experience and all that. So it's a way of circumventing that and showing that you can do something. So that's all really great, but now that guy's got a job and not, like, he doesn't need to mod anymore. So it's like,
because he needed money. The love wasn't buying him groceries.
right.
true.
So it's like, if people really want to be able to do that sort of thing and mod, but they're putting, these thousands and thousands of hours into it. They've been doing it purely for free, but it would be nice for them to be able to actually get something out of it.
We're in a kind of a weird spot for that, though, because all these people that are spending all this time, well, to be fair, not all mods are created the same. If we're talking about you just added
Most
a
mods
character,
aren't created the same. Let's be honest.
absolutely true. Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about, we got a new weapon, or, you just did one element, then that doesn't really speak to you as a larger, useful member of the game creation community. But if for the people that make the total conversion mods or really in-depth story mods, I mean, they now kind of have an opportunity with the way Unity and Unreal have gone sort of free on the front end, which, I mean, I keep saying that.
Free.
Well, no, they're free to pull the engine down. You just
Sure.
you're licensing it on the back end, where if you sell it, then you have to
Right.
give over some of the money. But I guess, to be fair, they weren't that expensive to start with to just get the engine. But now those people, if they really have that love and that drive could probably pretty easily turn that into just doing their own original IP instead of just making a modification for an existing engine. So maybe some of those really hardcore guys are going to start moving over that direction, and then we're going to be left with just the, hey, you got a new skin.
Yeah.
Possibly, but then like that's still, if that's the way that those modders go, then again the modding community suffers for it because you're not getting mods for these games that keep people buying Skyrim years later.
So maybe, yeah, I see what you're saying. I like it because then if you can incent the really good modders to continue modding with monetary compensation, they'll keep making stuff, which enriches the modding community.
Right. Like, what if modding could be a full-time profession?
Right.
Like that would be amazing. Again, it would be a very very small profession, but
that's what people said about making stupid videos in video games.
yeah, that's a good point.
Well, here's the counterpoint to that, though. Do you know what? It seems to me like maybe the game industry might not want to encourage that sort of thing, because if that became true, where a professional modder could exist, wouldn't that take away necessarily from first-party DLC?
Maybe, but I mean, Bethesda only put out like 2 expansions, and I hesitate to call them expansions, bits of DLC for Skyrim, really, and they haven't been supporting it for years.
Yeah, and also I think the scopes are totally different. You look at a DLC package, a good DLC package, typically has more story and, really expands upon the universe, whereas, most mods are not nearly that comprehensive. There are, of course, a few exceptions, but for the most part, I think they're different.
Well, maybe there's again, when they pulled this down, they really made it sound like they were taking it back to the drawing board, not necessarily completely giving up on the idea.
That's absolutely what it sounds like.
Which, if they were approaching this, and they even, I think in the quote, we're talking about how, we know how to implement this in our games pretty well. Obviously, it didn't work so well when we moved it over to a different game platform. If they had come into this thinking, somebody will just sell a skin for $1, and they'll get 25 cents and we get 75, that's probably works much better for that sort of marketplace than all mod support now supporting transactions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was, one of the big mistakes was starting something, in a mod community that's been around for years, because it, you need to start fresh if you're going to do something like that, so that things like, mods borrowing from each other is taken care of from the outset, that's just like, the situation that you're going into.
Or you don't flip the switch where it's like, what the fuck? Yesterday this skin was free. Now it's $2.
Right, exactly. I mean, there's still, like, even during this whole thing, there's Skyrim Nexus, which is where most of the mods are. It has way more mods than Workshop ever had, and they're all free. But you were also having, because some people were stealing mods, they download a mod from Nexus and then submit it to Workshop as a paid mod, like, even if it's not theirs, so they make money off it. Really shitty thing to do, by the way. But then a bunch of modders, felt like they had to go put theirs up, because if they didn't, someone was going to steal their stuff.
There was a lot of shady stuff that was going on. There was that. There were some modders that felt like they completely lost control over their mod as soon as they put the content on Workshop and monetized it, because then they couldn't stop it. They couldn't pull it back down.
Yeah, they could pull it back down. There was the
guy...
They
could stop monetizing it, but they couldn't pull it off.
Oh, I see.
And, I mean, that kind of makes sense, because if someone has already bought it, you can't just pull that content from them. Like, that has to continue to be available to anybody.
It's like an in perpetuity sort of thing.
Exactly, yeah. So there is some loss of control there, I think, on the modder side of it. That it's a tightrope they're going to have to walk. And really, I think maybe if we ever see it come back, just to avoid the DLC issues, and you said kind of wait and establish with a newer game rather than one that already had an established community. But I kind of feel like for them to make this work and to make it work with game companies, what they're going to have to do is wait until like a DLC period has ended and then allow monetization of mods. So that there's like the first life that goes to the developer, and then the second life that can live with the mod
Or
community.
if they announce that from the outset.
Right.
From the very beginning, they're very upfront about it and about that plan. It makes sense as long as people are expecting it. It's not like
this was kind of a surprise. It was like, surprise, we're monetizing mods. Here they are.
And go.
And of course it was crazy. Just like, wait, what?
And then all of a sudden, Lord of the Flies.
It was pretty Lord of the Flies. There was a lot of people. Then it caused a schism.
Yeah.
There's an I in there.
In the modding community, there is an I, a schism.
Thank you.
In the modding community too, though, because then you had a lot of people like the guy who does Sky UI, which is super popular. It might be like the most popular mod on Skyrim Nexus. Said that he was going to take it off and put it paid on Steam Workshop, and so a whole bunch of people, including other modders, were attacking him for that decision. And then so you had this like suddenly like this paid group squaring off against this should always be free group, and I have a lot of sympathy for the guys who put their stuff up paid, and now it's like, yeah, nah. It's like they for a weekend they were like, oh my god, maybe I can quit my job, I can do this full time. This is gonna be amazing. Oh, just kidding.
Yeah, and now everybody in the
and by the way, everyone
hates
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You've got a big target on your back.
I can't think that they saw that much revenue in that space of time, though.
Bethesda tried to justify. So the split was Valve took 30%. I think they take 30% of every transaction
They take a pretty good
on
chunk,
Steam anyway, which is, I mean, that's high. Think about how much money Valve makes off anything you buy, no matter what. That's crazy. But so they were taking 30%, pretty standard for them. And then Bethesda said they were going to take 45%. So Bethesda said that. They set how much of the cut they wanted. And they set it at 45%. They tried to defend it. They were like, oh, how do you value an IP? Do you value this? Like the work? Like, even with this early data, some of these modders are going to be making more money than the people at the studio who originally made the stuff. I'm like,
that seems like a stretch.
I'm like,
then pay your employees more.
It's like, are you calculating this off like the $30 apple or the $90 bag of nothing? Or like what?
Also,
what
these people are
essentially
essentially contractors, so you're paying a lot more taxes. It's
and it's like that. It was a really weird justification.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that there's no getting around the fact that the game developer themselves will take a cut. They did develop the tools you're working on. It's on their IP. And that's probably like the only way to mitigate that concern over are they stealing our DLC market is like, it's okay because we make money off it anyway. 45% seems like a lot.
I'm reading Twitter here, and at David_M_Dana said, Bethesda basically abandoned the game, then came back years later hungry for mod money. Which is an interesting way to look at it. They hadn't done anything to support it for a while, and maybe were trying to dip their toe back in to milk the cow a little more.
Yeah.
It's anytime you have one of these trial programs, everybody's expectations are really different. And until you launch it and see how it's all going to shake out, you never really know what's going to go down. So you got to at least give them credit for trying, even if it wasn't.
There was one other aspect to Bethesda's defense that I thought was hilarious. So they did that thing of like, oh, modders are making even more money than people from the studio. But it's not really that big a deal if you think about it, because like even with the game like being free this weekend, the mods are still less than 1% of our revenue.
Well, they didn't sell any yet. Where are these numbers coming from?
No, they did. They launched it, and they started out like there were 14 paid, and I think it went up to like 30 or
but they didn't have an
like
appreciable
100.
amount of time to,
No, they
to
didn't. It was
measure
They
it.
had a data set of like 12 hours. Like,
Right.
we sold. Really, nobody bought anything, right? I mean, maybe
I
a
think
few.
I read that there was tens of thousands of dollars, I believe, was the
Tens
quote
of thousands of
from
dollars.
Well,
Gabe
there
Newell.
were some
on
good
a company
mods.
scale, though. That's
Like there were some really there were some dumb mods. There was there was the apple for $30. There was a golden potato for $10. there were some stuff like a sword or a set of scale armor and weaponry. I think it was and weaponry as well. There was
Horse armor.
there was this whole situation makes horse armor seem like a reasonable cost actually, because you'd pay like $2 for a sword. There was the Midas Magic pack, which is like a super popular spell pack. I think was going for like $5. There was one called Wet and Cold that is like supposedly like adds like nice little like drips and like wet footprints and all that sort of stuff that just basically improves all that. Was $5 or $6. There was a rogue companion you could get. There was another $5. So some of those were actually priced really high.
that
I
sounds
feel
like pretty standard DLC pricing.
We should have made a video, like side-by-side comparison of Skyrim and the Skyrim with every
With
paid
every
mod
paid mod.
installed. Is which one is is this other version worth an extra 60 or 70, whatever the total was, that many more dollars than your stock game over here on this other screen.
There was another weird aspect of it too, which is that I guess the price was variable. So so this is a weird thing. Like there was like a price range, like a pay what you want, but there's a minimum. But then there's
What?
Yeah,
So basically,
Pay what you want?
The price was the minimum then.
sort of. I don't know. Like when I went to look at the marketplace, I just saw like what the price was, but there was a like pay what you want button. The pay what you want never goes down to 0. So I'm not like it's like I think they had to like set a minimum and then like a recommended price, which was a weird setup as well.
I'm gonna tell a non-related story about pay what you want as a business model.
Is this Radiohead? This isn't Radiohead. Right?
No. One time I was in Seattle with our CEO, Matt Hullum. And we were at a video game developer that we do a lot of work with. And right across the street, there was a coffee shop. And it was a pay-what-you-want coffee shop. And so I walked in. Like one morning, I needed coffee. I saw it's a coffee shop. I walked in. It's like, oh, this is weird. There's just like a wooden box with a padlock on it.
Gus.
It was a brown box, but it was a brown wooden box with a padlock on it instead of a cash register. You order what you want, and then when you're done, you just put cash into the box, and no one's like looking at you or judging you. So I was like, okay, this is
Except they're like this.
yeah.
On the slide.
Out of the corner of their eye, like.
There's a camera watching you and judging you silently.
I was like, okay, this is weird. So then I go back, across the street. I run into Matt. Like, Matt, this is so weird over here. There's a pay what you want coffee shop. He goes, really? You got to show me this. We walk in. Matt, I hold it open for Matt. Matt walks in and goes, hey, is this a free coffee shop or what? And of course, every employee comes over and is like, well, it's not free. It's pay what you want.
Right.
And then trying to explain it to him. So I feel like that's the attitude a lot of people have with pay what you want. It's, oh, I'm going to pay the absolute minimum I have to get by here.
Yeah, in the Austin airport, there's like an Austin Java coffee stand, and it's $2 coffee, but it's not manned. It's just like a whole bunch of things, and it's a box that you put the money in, and it says $2, but there's no one policing it. We like to call it $2 free coffee.
There's no coffee in there, is there?
There's coffee. It's good coffee.
It's a social experiment. If you put money in, the
Then there's
machine's
coffee.
empty. Yeah, but then if you don't put money in, there's plenty of coffee.
Yeah,
That's
so,
Schrodinger's coffee.
like I really wonder how many people just take free coffee and walk off.
Jerks.
Right?
Nothing's free. Coffee's not free. Coffee costs money. Yeah,
We're talking about the other big
I wanna
news
talk about
now?
the other big
we
news.
cover Steam?
I think we covered Steam.
All right.
The other big news was it started as it was funny watching this one develop, which was the cancellation of Silent Hills, because it started like as a rumor, and at first I was like, no, there's no way, that's not true, and then it just
Right, 'cause
grew, more
The
confirmation.
rumor grew from basically someone found that the PSN store would be delisting it today.
So if
right.
you don't
and
have
so
it
they
yet,
were
you should
and they
get
were
it.
theorizing, like rumoring it. Can you?
I think it's still available right now, but if you're not watching the live stream, it's not available.
Yeah, if you're watching this, very sorry, pour one out. Or go to eBay.
Yeah, I can't wait to start
More on
seeing.
that in a minute.
Has it started yet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Meg
God.
was already showing me some eBay listings for it.
$3,000?
$3,000 is the current max.
So the basically the gist here is that people are now selling PS4s that have the PT demo on it, like on eBay. There's because you can't
money.
if you can't get it anymore.
There's no way that
then
was a
there's
real
no way to-
transaction.
Still get it today, though.
There's no way that was a real transaction. There's no way someone paid
Well,
$3,000.
no, well, I mean, it's for sale.
Oh,
yeah.
it's up now.
It's
Oh,
not been sold.
Okay.
But someone is already trying to corner the market on preloaded PT
Yeah, there's
PS4s.
There's one here that's for sale for $1,300. One that's for $800, $750.
It's not going to happen.
It's ridiculous. Let me see
You
if
don't
I
think so?
can
You
find
don't
any
think
that
no
are
one will do it?
completed.
Because now it's going to become basically, if they never release it again, let's say that when they pull PT, it is now gone forever. Also, this was basically may end up being the last vestige of Kojima working with,
Guillermo del Toro?
well, that, I mean,
Norman Reedus? Konami? I don't know.
Konami.
You're leaving me
Konami.
Skyrim?
Yeah, Konami. I mean, he may work with the other ones sooner or later. I don't know. What did I say?
Hideo Kojima's
Yeah.
Elder Scrolls 4 with a U. Elder Scrolls.
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 Yeah, and then so it started with that, and then Guillermo del Toro was doing a presentation, I think, during a film festival, and someone asked him about the project, and he said that it probably wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, he said something like, it's not going to happen, and like that breaks my greasy heart or something like that. I was like, "Don't-
Then I
don't
think
talk about
Norman
yourself like
Reedus
that,
tweeted
man."
something about it not happening, and then it wasn't until I believe Monday that there was official confirmation from Konami that the project that there will be other future Silent Hill properties,
Maybe that they're talking about it.
but Silent Hills was not happening.
Such a bummer, man.
Yeah, it makes me really wonder what the fuck's going on between Kojima and Konami.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone. It's really easy to make jokes like someone must have been banging somebody's wife, because it seems like really sudden and like really, really bad breakup.
It's like he burned down a wing on the way out, though. I mean, they're shutting projects down right and left.
Right. This is not a good breakup.
No.
There was even sometime in this past week I was reading about it. There was the Famitsu Award show in Japan, which Kojima always goes to, and he was very noticeably absent after having gone for several years to it.
Yeah, he's probably on like some crazy lockdown there. I would be surprised if we see him at E3.
I would
feel
too. Yeah.
Like it's the show that he should absolutely be there, but I'll be very surprised if he's there.
It's like he's somewhere in one of those Clockwork Orange chairs absorbing a new personality or something. It's completely disappeared, and all the projects that he was attached to have been dropped.
Yeah, I mean, were they trying to pressure him to stay on Metal Gear? Maybe because remember his Metal Gear.
It can't. But
After was it Metal Gear Solid 2? He said he was done, and then 3, like it was just not going well, so he stepped back in, and then 4 and now 5, and he's like, no, this is the end.
yeah, but I can't imagine that would facilitate this level of separation occurring.
Also, I mean, would taking Kojima's name off this game make it not happen? I mean, is there any reason why this should completely shutter that title?
Yeah, I think they're just trying to. I mean, they are cutting ties. They renamed the Kojima Productions studio in Los Angeles. The fact that they took his name off everything is weird. I mean, they did say, they released a statement that they're trying to like centralize everything around, the Konami brand, which I get to some degree, but you don't do that in the middle of like a game that's already branded.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he's brought some tremendous shame upon his name that we are just not yet aware of. Like,
I'm really curious to know what facilitated all this. I hope. Well, I don't know.
I don't think we'll ever know. I would love to know, and I don't think we will.
I don't know. You never know. Years later, stuff comes out.
the documents
you
will
hear
surface.
things. Yeah, but
Transcripts.
It's a shame. I didn't want to believe it. I was one of those people living in denial all weekend. I was like, I'm not going to believe it until Konami officially says it's over.
Yeah, well, remember there was a lot of worry about it when the whole thing came up with them removing Kojima's name from any association with Metal Gear. Everyone was wondering, and that he was going to be leaving, that he was no longer on the executive list, and all that stuff. Everyone thought, what's this going to mean for Silent Hills? And Konami was like, don't worry, Metal Gear Solid's still happening.
Good day.
And then just stopped.
Yep. Radio silence.
So yeah, the fact that there was nothing, people were understandably worried. Because I feel like PT got people interested in the Silent Hill franchise again.
That was wildly successful as a teaser for a game.
Absolutely.
What was the last
successful in its
Silent
own
Hill
thing.
game? Was there even one on the PS2? Or,
There was, yeah, there was. Let me look up the franchise.
I only remember playing the PS1 versions. I don't if there was a PS2 version.
There was, but it's been on a decline as far as popularity goes for sure. I can probably look up sales here in a minute, actually.
Yeah, and I feel like the horror genre definitely could have used the shot in the arm. I feel like it's a genre that doesn't get as much attention. I mean, of course, there's Five Nights at Freddy's, which is phenomenally huge, but as far as like AAA horror titles, you don't see them as frequently these days.
So the most recent titles were 2012 Silent Hill Downpour and Silent Hill Book of Memories. But before that was Shattered Memories, before that was Homecoming, before that was Origins. But let me look up what platforms these were on.
Yeah, so it would have been cool. And also, we're finally getting... I'm going to vamp a bit while you look that
Sure.
up. Please let me know once you have that.
Sure.
I'm just still off for time over here. We're also going to be... Speaking of Five Nights at Freddy's, we're getting our final installation of Five Nights at Freddy's soon,
Maybe
right?
final.
Oh, is it maybe now?
Here's the thing: is internet has a theory about that I actually agree with. I was
Internet has
skeptical
lots
that it
of
was the
theories.
final one in the first place. Okay, Silent Hill Downpour was released for PS3 and Xbox 360 at the end of March of 2012. Shattered Memories was for Wii in December, and then PlayStation 2 and PSP in 2010. So it hasn't, it's been a while. But then there was the Silent Hill HD collection, which was PS3 and Xbox 360.
I remember that one.
And
I think I
then
got that.
Book of Memories 2012 was an RPG spin-off for Vita.
All right.
So it hasn't had a really, really I guess super core entry in a while, and this was going to be the return to form kind of.
And PT you can't ask for a better lead-in than that, really.
No.
Everybody played it. There were videos all over the internet. I mean,
It was brilliant.
yeah, it was very well done, and it was a great little bite-sized. Come on, this is the kind of spooky world you can expect if you come by this game. with a little Norman Reedus tease at the end.
Absolutely.
But I mean, it stuns me that they could not find a way to go forward with that.
Yep.
It's too bad. But do you think, like, so if this is a hard separation for Kojima and Konami, starting his own studio?
Oh, I think
Going off and trying to spend all of the money that he probably doesn't make, because I don't think that's the way it works.
He makes less than your average modder, okay? Take it down a notch.
I think he will absolutely start his own studio and work on other projects. Because if he's been trying to step away from the Metal Gear series for a while, this is definitely a separation. This is definitely a way to step away.
He's going to go work on the next My Little Pony title. It really needs to be.
It's like that guy who, the guy that made Katamari Damacy and went and started, like, he's like, I'll make parks now.
Does he?
Like actually
like
garden or
no, he actually made like city or parks for kids, like physical parks.
Like dug the ditches and
or designed them.
Ditches,
they
put a lot of those in children's parks.
Did you not have
like
ditches?
To play in a ditch.
You're a weird one.
Georgia.
So what was your did we talk about the internet theory for Five Nights at Freddy's?
Oh no, not yet. So the fourth Five Nights at Freddy's game is called The Final Chapter, which everyone is going, Final Chapter. And then other people said, wasn't that the name of like the fourth Halloween movie? And that wasn't exactly the last one, was it? And it comes out on Halloween.
Well, he's been cranking them out so fast.
Yeah, how long ago did the first one come out? I feel like
Last
it's only
August.
been a year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's not even a year.
No.
Mm-mm.
No, so it went August, November, March, and this one's going to be end of October. So this is like the longest between the games since he started the series.
Which says it means absolutely nothing when you're talking about less than a year.
Yeah. Everyone, when this game was announced, everyone got super sad for MatPat, who runs Game Theory, because he just started putting out a video like, the entire universe of Five Nights at Freddy's explained, and then like later that day or like the next day, Five Nights at Freddy's 4. Woo!
Well, then he gave me to make another video later. He like this. Oh, this is all that old video.
See
Don't
how it
watch
fits
that.
into my
Watch
theories.
This one.
But everything aside, there's no way they're making less than five Nights at Freddy's games, right?
Wow, I don't know. Well, you think they just need to double down on the number? 5, the fifth night at Freddy's.
It seems weird to have 4 or 5 Nights at Freddy's.
Are they different enough, do you think? I don't know how many of them you've played or looked at, but I mean, there's some differences from title to title, but overall, it's still, I would say it's still a fairly similar experience. How you deal with the monsters is very different.
It's
but
3 games over the course of 8 months. I don't think there's too much variety.
Well, what people who are really into this series are really into is not even necessarily the gameplay for a lot of them. It's the backstory and the world, which is fairly deep and interesting, and apparently enough to spawn
I don't play games for
movie
the gameplay.
potentially.
I play for the backstory.
We should introduce you to some visual novels.
No.
Oh, come on!
I
You missed the Katawa Shoujo thing.
I had my fill with Hatterful Boyfriend. Actually, I didn't mention this on the patch, but I think the week after we did the game club for Hatterful Boyfriend, I was in line at the Chipotle here at Mueller, and there's pigeons there. Obviously, there's birds everywhere, and there were 2 women in front of me who were nurses. Because it's right next to the hospital, and they were talking to each other, and the pigeons were kind of around because the line gets so long that you have to wait outside sometimes. So we were outside, and there was like a pigeon nearby, and one of the women said, "Oh, get that bird away from me. I don't like birds. I'm afraid of them." And the other woman said, "Oh, it's I agree with you, but lately my daughter's been playing this video game with like pigeons in it, and she's in a school and talking to them." And I was like, "I know you're playing. Like, I know exactly what you're talking about, lady."
And you should be worried.
So happy.
You should be very worried.
Every time I see a pigeon now, I'm like, yeah.
What was that thought? You want to elaborate on that?
I'm just like, what breed is it, and what is its personality like in like Hatterful Boyfriend video game world? Like
what are its thoughts on pudding?
Right? Is this like the casual like pigeon next door,
I mean,
or
it
is this
opened
like
you up
the
to-
stuck up French pigeon?
Are you not thinking
Or-
like of these potential dating prospects? You know, what I
Except-
mean? Like, that bird looks like he could carry a mean conversation.
You could say we really clicked.
Is it?
Come on, because you click. Nah, all
Okay,
right.
I was
That
like,
was a
is this
stretch.
is this a mouse?
Come
is
on,
this like
y'all.
a
I'm
computer
throwing
mouse
out
joke?
gold here.
I was just trying to figure out if it was a computer mouse joke or if that's what you thought the sound that pigeons make was.
Pigeons
Click,
coo.
click, click,
Come on.
click.
They're not.
Also, I will say I do feel really bad now anytime Joe the cat kills a pigeon.
Joe the
How often
cat's a
is Joe the
murderer?
cat killing pigeons?
Really likes to kill pigeons.
Wow.
We don't
The
find
pigeons in your neighborhood suck.
we don't find much.
Huh. Does he just like leave the heads on your doorstep?
No, he brings them back to the porch to devour them over time.
Oh.
And so depending on how
It's
long
like a
it's been,
horror
we,
movie.
we might just see like some puffs of feathers
It's like,
or like the occasional leg or something.
I think you just discovered
He's
Kojima's
terrible.
next
He's
title.
really terrible.
Maybe he's trying to, he's bringing pieces back so you could all stitch them together and make the perfect pigeon.
Frankenbird.
There you go.
Where do we put the possum tails?
You can improve the pigeon.
Yeah.
Can you imagine a bird with a prehensile tail?
I
He's
like
trying
the-
to get pigeon 2.0.
It's like spore or something when you're like putting like trying to put different bits on as you evolve.
Wait, he's killing possums?
Yeah. Well, we at the very least he kills baby possums. We think he might have a blood feud.
Oh, okay. Joe the cat. You learn things all the time.
Yeah.
I'm glad he's not here anymore.
He's a jerk.
All right, so we got through, I think, the two biggest stories of the week. Was there a third? Did you say there was a third?
well, there's all kinds of trailers that came out. There's
Oh,
Just Cause
right.
3, there's another 3, the Black Ops 3.
Another 3 is weird. I don't know, some game.
It's like they keep making sequels. That Call of
Call of
Lunch?
Freddy's?
Call of Lunch?
What?
Well, yeah, the Freddy's as well. The
there
Just Cause 3, did you guys see the Just Cause 3 trailer?
That was crazy.
It looks so much, it just reminds me so much of 2, though.
But prettier, right?
It's prettier, but it's like, oh, yeah, look, there's the red things that I'm going to spend several hours destroying.
Yeah, but did you get to drive through a field of daisies last time, or derail
Yeah,
an
I
entire
think-
train?
I think I did drive through some daisies.
Really?
Yeah, there were fields of things. I mean, maybe
I
not,
guess they're
maybe not
sunflowers,
daisies,
right?
but
Look, it's like this is a new game. This is a new type of flower.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I really enjoyed 2. I will really enjoy 3. It reminds me very much of 2, though. I watched that trailer and go, oh, okay, it's 2.5.
Is there going to be multiplayer out of the box in 3?
I asked that same question. I really would like to know. I don't know.
They
but
went back and added it to 2.
No,
But that
they
was
didn't.
that was
Oh, was
the
that a
mod.
mod?
Yeah, that
Ah.
was the modding community going in.
But I
and
thought that was
man,
officially supported by the developer now, wasn't it?
it might be.
I mean, I know it had. I'm pretty sure it had their blessing.
Mm-hmm.
No multiplayer at launch for Just Cause 3.
Why? The demand is there.
The community is desperate for this.
Mods made it for 2.
Yeah, and it works okay. I mean, I played with it a bit when it came out. We haven't done a Let's Play in it yet, but I'm sure at some point we'll get around to it.
Let me see if I can find how many downloads there have been for that, because I'm pretty sure there were a lot.
Yeah, that was really eagerly anticipated.
It had a
People were
large
ready for
community, and it was very neat because of how customizable it was. Because you created a server, and then what you did on that server was entirely dependent on what scripts you loaded up along with it. So, if you wanted to have a race server, you could do that, or different game types. The one thing, and this, my knowledge of it is a little dated at this point, but the main problem with it when I last played it was that there wasn't a great sync between the different clients.
Oh.
So, well, I mean, the player sync was okay, but other events may just not happen.
Well, that's kind of a problem in a multiplayer game.
It's well, not for. I mean, like the racing and things like that worked, but there were if you were just running around in free play mode, you wouldn't necessarily have the exact same experience as the other people next to you.
All right, so I can't find, like, just really quickly any download numbers for the multiplayer mod for Just Cause 2. If anybody on Twitter has that would be great. Let us know.
Hashtag the
But-
patch.
Hashtag the patch. But if their forums, if this is any indication, their forums have 200,000 registered users.
Every time I've jumped in on one of those,
So that's
it's been a full
that's
server.
that's a pretty good indication of interest at the
Yeah.
very least.
Oh, I remember the other 3. It was the well, it's sort of a 3. It's the newest Batman game dropped another trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The one is now showing off the sort of like it's not co-op, but the multiple player. Not player. It's you can switch characters in action. Almost kind of. It reminds me a lot of fighting games like Marvel v. Capcom or something like that, where you could create combo moves by calling in your second or third teammates. It looks kind of like that's what it's going to be. I don't think there's going to be co-op, but it's just going to be yourself.
Maybe it's like GTA 5 single player where you can toggle between different players.
Yeah, except you can create like combo actions.
Right, yeah.
Combo
little both.
strikes.
You can, like, just switch in the middle of your attack.
They just kind of, it's like, this is supposed to be sort of the third of the Arkham trilogy. Just kind of ignore that last title altogether.
I did good because I didn't play the last one.
So bad.
That works out for me.
Oh no! Apparently,
no.
so sorry. People on Twitter are telling me, they're telling all of us actually, hashtag the patch, that there is. So for Five Nights at Freddy's, you know, people have like basically the developer he keeps teasing game announcements beforehand by like there'll be an image on the website named like Ford.jpg or something like that. Somewhere in the source code of the website there was like a weird 8 and a 7. And people like put this together into a theory, and they tracked down an actual pizzeria and have been harassing this physical pizzeria over it. Oh no!
That's awful. Like they thought it was like an ARG or something. Like they were uncovering some information.
Yeah.
Scott Games, I guess he posted something. Only trust my website and my official Steam pages for Five Nights at Freddy news. Please be supportive of one another in the community. So yeah, I guess people were.
Oh no, that poor pizzeria, that suddenly wildly successful pizzeria. If they just get some animatronics,
that might have been the most successful advertisement for that pizzeria that could ever been conceived by man.
Right, but can you imagine like this pizzeria just suddenly they're getting all these calls and people turning up, and they're like, "Who are you guys?"
They got tons of applications for a security watchman.
Right, just like all of a sudden out of the blue, having no idea what's going on. That would be weird.
How fast did that joke get old? Oh yeah, haha, we're totally looking for a security guy.
What?
At the pizzeria.
Yeah,
Oh.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Okay.
On
Sorry,
that.
I missed something. I was busy like picturing what that place looks like with the mob outside going. Ah.
Give us your animatronics.
Yeah. So, and then the other trailer we haven't talked about yet was the Mad Max one.
Oh, right, and the Mad Max one.
Which
That's
was
not a 3 though. It didn't fit with my.
Not a 3, but
Way
like
to throw the curve or whatever, breaking the trend.
when did they announce that Mad Max game? Was that last E3?
I don't even
Like
know.
there was a teaser for it, and I think it was last E3.
It might have been last
And
E3.
it was confusing for me at the time because I didn't know they were making another Mad Max movie. And I thought, well, that's a really weird property to go back and revisit. And now that
Yeah, it all makes
now
sense.
I know there's a movie. It's like, oh, okay, well, that's why that this is all going on together. But it seems like the game just takes place in the universe because the main character in the game does not look like Tom Hardy.
Max.
In the movie. So it must just be in the same world.
Visually, they really nailed, well, at least the looks of the movie as I've seen from the trailers.
Mm-hmm. There's not enough explosions, giant explosions.
There's one right there. There you go.
And fire tornadoes.
Hey, it's Thunderdome.
So yeah, it seems cool. It was a really long trailer. I thought it was almost like 5 minutes long.
It looks great.
I'm really curious what kind of game it is, though. I mean, there's racing, there's shooting, there's like
We're still curious
sort of
what
stealth
kind
action.
We're still curious what the movie is too. We're like,
That's true.
is just 2-hour racing fighting scene?
Yes,
It could just be an open world
it's a
destruction
Fast and
game.
the Furious movie. Actually, it's Fast and the Furious 42.
It could just be like a GTA style game where you just like roam around the wasteland.
Well, that's what it almost looks like it might be. Maybe there's sort of Fallout-ish where you're just loose in the wasteland.
You have my interest.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm definitely. So I haven't been to E3 in a long time. I think it's probably been like 10 years since I've been to an E3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm really considering going this year, if for no other reason, because I'm convinced Bethesda has to be announcing something Fallout related. Like I got an invite to their event.
Because this is the first year that they're doing their own press conference.
And I'm like, okay, this is serious now. But the invite didn't have anything Fallout related on it.
Right. Bernie seems to think that like we're all super excited about that, and it'll actually just be like HD remaster collections.
That would
I
be
mean,
a letdown.
look, because at this point it's like, can they really give us Fallout, or is this at this point just like Half-Life?
It's the
Like you
like
can
it'll
never
never
have
happen.
it.
I think they could easily do a Fallout 4.
It is time for that. Like it's the they seem to it's the trend of at least one generation now. Two. They have to do at least one platform.
Right.
One per life cycle. All right. We had two Elder Scrolls last console cycle. We had 2 Fallouts last console cycle. They need to get on it for this one, right?
Well,
You're only coming off of one cycle, though.
Yeah, Xbox One has got a
But
life
hey,
cycle.
there was at least Morrowind on Xbox, and no Fallout. But
Well, there were some shitty Fallout games on the original Xbox, I think, like
Tactics.
Yeah, and Brotherhood of Steel, I think.
Oh,
Brotherhood
yeah,
of Steel was a
Steel.
mod for, or not a mod,
I
but it
thought
was a
that was-
DLC for Fallout 3.
Yeah.
There was another
you're,
one.
You're right. There was another thing, but I didn't know that was on Xbox. I had thought that was PC only.
No, let me look it up.
I don't. It can't be that hard. I mean, they've really got the formula down. All you have to do is deliver on that formula again. You have Guy. Maybe he starts as a young boy and gets loose on the wild. Maybe he has no memory and just has to find his way.
Brotherhood of Steel for the original Xbox and PS2.
It was actually a title too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You guys are making me feel like I'm fucking
sorry.
insane over here.
I humbly apologize, Steve.
I'm taking advice from the guy who says Skyrim.
I still don't hear the difference. What do you say?
Yeah, I never played Brotherhood of Steel, but I remember seeing the box like very quickly at like GameStop for like
Was it in the discount bin?
yeah, like $10 or
Buried
something.
under something else?
Yeah.
$10. Wow, pricey.
Like I'll pass on that one.
Did it have the peeling sticker? Like you knew it had been there for a long time?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
the plastic wrap that's partially ripped?
It had like all the layer of lower price stickers all covering the old higher price sticker.
Till they
The
get to
plastic is a little bit discolored, like it's a little yellow and kind of crispy.
Yeah. Then you can tell the cardboard boxes had a little bit of wear, and then the sticker just says, "Please God, take this."
It's sad when like an employee has to draw like box art for it, and that looks better. That looks more convincing. Makes you want to pick it up.
So sad.
Yeah. So also there was news that the console editions of Minecraft are getting the option to have female starting characters, which I guess has existed on PC for a while.
As far as I can tell,
They-
yeah, the difference this is what I've been told, because they look pretty much the same to me, except this texture has a ponytail.
Sure. Well,
Their
I mean,
arms are skinnier.
weird.
That's it.
That is a weird thing. That's a weird one change to have. But I mean, so it's basically like you play Steve unless you buy skin packs. Is that the way it is on console? I've only played it on PC where I can just go install whatever skin I want. So
I think they're just adding it in. Like you don't have to purchase
no,
it.
no. So, but
It's a player model.
But currently, without if you don't buy any like skin pack DLC, is the only model option Steve. Is that
it
the
is
way
the
it
only
is?
skin option, or it's not the only skin option. I think it is the only model option. Yes,
Okay, but you can have. Are there female skins for the Steve model?
there are
that
female
you can,
skins
that
for
you can
this.
get without paying anything.
I can't remember if there's one in the default skin pack or not. I know I've seen several female characters because Caleb plays as like the sexy nurse. Hey, the man likes frisbees and sexy nurses. So you gonna judge?
Nope, not
right.
gonna judge.
But yeah, I mean the difference in model seems very slight.
Okay, so Brotherhood of Steel was another tactics game in the PS2 era. Broken Steel was the Fallout 3 DLC.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
There we go. Now we're all happy.
I remembered Steel. That was actually a really good DLC.
They were all good DLC, except Mothership Zeta was a little.
I thought it was kind of fun though because you
was
got the Zap gun.
Yeah, but it was definitely the weakest of the DLC for that game.
You got to zap.
You got probed. You got to immolate people with your pistol. Pew pew.
That was fun. So other news that I'm more excited about as well is Bloodborne finally released a patch significantly cutting their loading times.
Have you been playing Bloodborne?
I started playing it, but then I got really put off by the loading time, and I made it a point. It's like I'm gonna wait until they patch it because at the time they said that they were working on that. And it's like when they patch it, I'm gonna go back and get to it. I've been traveling a bit, so I haven't had a chance to patch. I think came out last week, so I'm excited to finally go in and start playing it. I've never played games from that series or that world. I've never played a Dark Souls game or anything like that, so I'm curious to see how it goes.
When people are like, "You're gonna die so hard," I'm like, "Yeah, maybe not my game."
Yeah, like
When the whole thing is like, "Oh, you're gonna be so mad. You're gonna die a lot. It's gonna be the worst. You can't beat anything."
yeah, like I mean, I definitely had that experience where I loaded up the game and started walking around. I was like, okay, that's interesting. There's no tutorial. I guess I walk up to that monster I see right over there, and the tutorial will start. Nope, you're just dead.
No,
Just
they don't
die.
really go in for that. It's and every death has a usually, and maybe you have to tell me about Bloodborne. People have been kind of upset because we haven't talked about it, but it's because nobody played it. So
I'm going to play it, I promise.
In the Dark Souls series, death had pretty severe consequences. Not only do you lose a bunch of stuff, but usually it would degrade your health bar, so you would slowly get worse as you died.
Great, because the people that are dying are definitely the ones that don't need any help.
I am kind of curious too, because Dark Souls 2 had this whole system where people keep talking about how they don't help you, they don't help you, they don't help you. You just have to figure things out in the world. But it also had ghosts running around showing you all the problems. Like wherever somebody died, there was a ghost left there that would show you exactly what did them in.
I
So
like
there's
to
a
think
built-in
that-
hint system.
I like to think that there's a ghost above every one of your dead bodies, going, Again.
You want to see what my idiot did? All right, come on.
Yeah, I definitely.
I don't think those exist in Bloodborne.
There are notes. I remember seeing those.
Okay.
I encountered one. Like, so I told you I died of that first monster, and then I found a note that it says something like "just run." It's like, oh, okay, I got it. I don't
Great.
fight this guy. I just got to run by him.
All right. So first of all, Twitter says that by default there are no female skins for Minecraft, so I can see that being a great addition. Especially, I like playing a girl in a game if I'm given the chance, so that's great for a lot of people, especially if it's free. That's all.
Would you notice though?
Other people would notice if you're in multiplayer.
All you see is your fist. Beep, beep, beep,
Yeah, other people see.
Or if you can, change the perspective and to go around. Like,
You can
take
go to
little
third
pictures of
person.
Everything. Absolutely.
But who plays Minecraft in third
I mean,
person?
but it's like
Come on.
it's like why? Oh, great. So why be a female character in Skyrim or Fallout?
don't you
Doesn't
all-
even matter.
Don't you all have a
care.
series of videos where you have a very identifiable character?
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm not looking at me. Why do I care?
All right.
Have,
Not
you,
going anywhere.
have either of you started playing Broken Age?
I have not. I played about halfway through part 1. I didn't finish part 1.
So part 2 just came out. I've been playing it. I'm so confused. Like
Really?
I
Because you
guess-
forgot,
well, like,
or
yeah, because it's been so long since it came out. So Broken Age Part 1 came out last January.
yeah.
Wow.
It's been more than a year. Let me do my math. It's been like 15 months between Part 1 and Part 2. That's a long time.
I told myself I was going to wait for part 2 before I played it, so I got that's another game I got to get
That's like
onto now.
7 Five Nights at Freddy's games.
It's beautiful. It's it's as gorgeous as Part 1. It's just like I was dropped immediately back into it. I guess Tim Schafer recommended replaying Part 1 to refresh yourself. I didn't do that. I was just like, it's out finally. I went into it and went, what?
See,
What's going on?
that's
and then I
kinda
had to
why
go
I
and kind of like
stopped.
read a synopsis to be like, oh, I don't remember that part. I think just like beat the puzzle, but I didn't remember this last cutscene that connects 1 and 2 that I don't want to spoil. But you start 2 and you go,
Lots
What?
of finger pointing.
there's lots of finger pointing and lots of head scratching. It's typical classic puzzle game in that it's just like, yeah, solve these puzzles. Good luck with that.
You're
That's
going to die a lot.
No, not really.
It's just one of those like frustrating things where eventually you just like end up like dragging objects onto anything that looks remotely interactive in the entire thing until something works, and then you just go, that made no sense.
I solved it.
Right.
It's like, makes me think, I haven't played the game, obviously, but the way you describe it like that makes me think of those old text adventure games like King's Quest. where
It's
like,
very King's Quest,
like,
yeah.
fuck, I've got this inventory. I don't know what to do. I'm going to try to use everything everywhere
Yep.
and
Yep.
see what works.
And that's like all you can do. Yeah. I mean, it's very old school feeling in that way. Beautiful game. Still frustrated. I'm still mad that it took so long to come out.
That's why I stopped halfway through. Well, I don't even know if I got halfway through the first part. Was because knowing the second part was coming, and I was worried that it would have one of those transitions where it wouldn't be. If I didn't remember everything, that I would be kind of lost in the second part.
Yeah, I probably would have held off. Who am I kidding? I wouldn't have held off, but I would have I would have thought about very hard about holding off if I'd realized how long the wait was going to be. It was supposed to come out at the end of last year, but even so, look, I don't want to minimize the effort that goes into game development because I know that it's a lot of hard work and there's a lot that I have no idea of how it works. But I'm going to minimize the hard work of game development. It's a point and click, adventure puzzle game. The engine existed. They had, they had their character models and all that sort of stuff. They had a lot of the environments already. Why did it take 15 months for the second half of the game?
It's like how people complain. It's the same thing on
They
a
should
smaller
hire
scale.
Scott Cawthon.
On a smaller scale, it's how people complain about like the Telltale games. Like the engine's there, the story's there. Why do I have to wait 2 or 3 months between
Yeah,
episodes?
like the only thing I can think of is it's like one person works on it.
Could
I mean,
be. Might be a very small studio.
Double Fine is a pretty small studio. But
Even
15
then-
months for just the second half of the game.
I mean, with that particular game, all of your assets, predominantly, it's all 2D, right? So there's nothing
Yeah, it's
that's
like
actually.
it's 2D layers and all that sort
Yeah.
of stuff. So
So I mean, really, its animation would be your main time focus, assuming they already had a script written. So, yeah, I mean, animation can take a while, but 2D animation is typically faster than 3, especially when you've got much
one less
simplified
D.
characters. Yeah, there's only 2 directions.
All right. Well, we're at about time to wrap up. But there's one more thing I want to mention. I mentioned Telltale, and it made me think about something that we didn't put in our notes, which was Telltale announcing that they're working with Marvel on a property that's going to be coming out in 2017.
So the big question, right, is because it'll probably like have some sort of at least callback to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because that seems to be sort of how Telltale is doing, like with Game of Thrones and all that. Which completely tertiary, not going to show up in the Marvel Cinematic Universe superhero are they going to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, it's going to be one of those really odd offshoot characters
It'd have to be, right?
Can't affect the universe at all.
Right, because it's like your choices
Like
in the
Beige
game
Man
can't
or-
throw
Beige
off.
Man.
Beige Man? Is that a thing?
What about Squirrel Girl? Is that Marvel?
Oh, yeah, I think it might be.
All right.
It is?
I'm calling it Squirrel Girl.
Squirrel Girl?
Squirrel Girl?
I would love to see just what it is they're going to do. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to make a new superhero when they've got such a huge pool of existing superheroes to pull from. But who is it that can tie in with the Marvel Cinematic Universe without being in the Marvel Cinematic Universe as more than maybe a walk-on?
Yeah.
Well, maybe there'll be someone that's eventually moved off one of the other teams. It could be actually, it might follow S.H.I.E.L.D. As it exists.
You play Coulson.
Yeah, well,
Except Coulson's still kind of dead for the movies.
No, he's not dead. He may, as far as they're
As far
aware,
as the
he
movies
might
are
be
aware,
dead.
he's dead.
But spoiler, sorry for.
Oh,
But
come on,
Agents
that's
of S.H.I.E.L.D.
years ago.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has that show has actually done a really interesting job of tying into everything that happens around it. So it could be that's going to be the basis for the game as well. They'll hook into that series.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, and let us know which superhero you think it's going to be in the comments, or if there are theories already that we just haven't heard.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got to wrap up. So thanks for watching, everyone. We'll be back on Monday with an episode of the podcast, and next Wednesday with another episode of The Patch.
And coming up next, Game Club. What do we play? We play
Child of Light. See ya.